The funding for this video is provided by the amazing members of our Patreon. Also contributions from viewers like you. Thank you. Y'all started from PBS Kids, what you gonna do? Fight me? Anyway, roll the video.
Come on, boys, get loud. 'Cause when the music starts bumping, the whole place will be jumping. It's my scene, my scene. You know what I mean. It's my scene, you know what
Hey y'all, it's Harriyanna and I'm back with another video. Hi, hello, how are you doing? My name is Harriyanna and welcome back to The Pirate Ship, also known as Harry Hood's Pirate Ship. I am the captain, you are not my first mate. I don't got no first mate because you want to know why? Nobody is worthy of being the first mate. But hi, hello, how are you guys doing? My name is Harriyanna and I like to make content based off nostalgia and family and children's entertainment and all the issues that I find within those spaces. Now, this video is going to be completely unscripted because I just want to give my raw, authentic opinion about how I feel about this entire situation, because it is one that is a bit frustrating. But also, we need to go over some ground rules. If you do not like my Miraculous Ladybug content, you don't have to watch it. It's obvious that y'all don't watch it. I make these videos because I want to. Remember that this is not your damn channel. You don't tell me what to do. Last time I checked, you do not own harriyannahook LLC. That is in my name, not yours. You do not own this channel. That means you cannot tell me what I can and cannot post. Okay, if I want to sit here and talk about Miraculous Ladybug, if I want to sit here and talk about Descendants, and if I want to sit here and talk about Total Drama, if I want to sit here and talk about all the things that I talk about all the time on this channel, I'm allowed to do so. It's not your channel, baby. Okay, got it, you got that through your brain? Okay, now let's go and continue. This is actually something that has been bothering me for a minute, but I've been having such a difficult time putting it into words. All right, so racism is one of those subjects, in my opinion, that I think is very important to teach to children, especially as I am an African-American woman. When I was a girl, when I was in elementary school, we did learn about racism. We did learn about like police brutality and things like that. We learned about presidents actually owning slaves and all of that jazz. So that is something that does need to be taught to children, racism, because that is a big problem in the world. And I remember back in the day, I mentioned this before, how on That's So Raven there was an entire episode about racism, where basically they taught the audience that racism is bad, and they had a great example of doing so, where basically a woman did not want to hire Raven because Raven was black and this woman was white, and she literally said that's the reason she didn't hire her. She didn't care how qualified she was for the job. She didn't care about how respectful and nice she was. She literally didn't hire her because of the color of her skin, and that's sad. There's nothing wrong with having episodes about racism within children's media, because there's a big difference between teaching racism and just being racist, because so much the shit out here in kid media, they're not teaching racism, they're just being racist. And if you're gonna have racist shit in a show, you need to tell the audience why it's bad, because the entire situation that happened with Raven and that lady that worked at the not the restaurant, the clothing store, was that the lady was being racist as hell to her. But we, the audience, are taught that it's wrong. They're not playing Raven's being racially profiled. They didn't play that off for laughs. That's why it works. That's why it's a good thing. And here with Miraculous Ladybug, the episode called Quillin. Quillin basically is an episode where Saban Chang, who is Marinette's mother, she is a Chinese woman, a woman of Asian descent. She basically is racially profiled and she gets arrested. Basically, it's an episode that makes me really mad, but basically this entire episode is meant to teach the audience about police brutality. This entire episode is meant to teach the audience about racism. Now, while I have no problem with that, because I think it's a good thing, because some people seem to miss the point with this episode, because people were hitting me up and trying to say Miraculous Ladybug is racist as hell for doing this episode, and I was like, no, it's a good thing that they did this episode, because they're teaching racism to the audience and teaching the audience that racism is bad, because that's not the first time Miraculous Ladybug has done like a PSA type episode, because there was another PSA episode in season 2, where it was more about like the environment. Not season 2, season 4. There was an episode about like, you know, protecting the environment and such. There's nothing wrong with TV shows having very special episodes for the matter, but here's the issue with Miraculous Ladybug. Miraculous Ladybug, I have spoken up numerous times about this show's racism problem because it has a big one, and because the production of the show is extremely questionable and problematic, so much of that behavior has ran onto the fans of this series. Miraculous Ladybug is the last people that needs to be doing episodes like this. They are the last people to be making episodes about racism, because this show has one of the biggest diversity problems that I have seen in a while when it comes to children and family entertainment. It is beyond awful. Sometimes it's just as bad as like Dan Snyder's sitcom of how bad the diversity is. It's very questionable. This show has a lot of misogynoir in it. It has a lot of just anti-blackness in general, and it has so much anti-Asian sentiment. And I have made a video about anti-Indian sentiment before, where basically anti-Asian and Indian sentiment is basically racism targeted towards specifically people of Asian descent, both East Asian and South Asian, while misogynoir is racism targeted towards black women, and then, you know, anti-blackness is just racism towards black people. This show has a really bad problem with the way they portray their diversity. Almost every single, no, I'm pretty sure all of them, all the Asian characters within this series are basically stereotyped to the max, especially when it comes to Master Fu and Suhan, because this is a problem that I've always noticed in kids entertainment, because Kim Possible was a big contender with this, and Kicking It was too, where they would portray like Asian men to be like very stupid or very mean, never in the middle. You know, Kagami is basically like a typical anime type girl character. I love Kagami, I think she's great, but I hate how stereotypical her character is. Like, even down to her outfit. Why is she literally wearing a Japanese schoolgirl uniform? I don't get that. And you know, Marinette is just a product of misogyny. Part of the reason why so much of her character is terribly written is because she's mainly written by straight cis hetero white men. And so much of the show's issues with diversity comes from its production team, it comes from its writer's room, it comes from its animators, okay? This is the main reason why this show has such a bad issue with its representation and diversity. One thing that kills me all the time, because I've mentioned this before in my video where I was talking about y'all don't care about black stories, is that so many— shut up phone, shut up Teen Titans communicator, I'm recording. But so many of people will literally go and watch something that has people of color in it but not be made by people of color, and I strongly believe that people of color need to tell their own stories, because that's them, that's basically them. Because when white people, they can write good characters of color. That's the truth. We've seen it been done before, but it has been proven numerous times before that they only know how to write straight white men, and white women specifically only know how to write straight white women as well. It's so frustrating because, like I said, it's mainly just men writing these characters, because everyone was talking about how a lot of the women in this series, they do very annoying and strange and frustrating things, and how a lot of the men in this series are kind of like made up for the excuses, and people give them a pat on the back and everything like that, when they're also doing terrible things. Because I'll use a big example of this is basically, y'all know Miss Captain Hook, Julika and Luca's mother, Miss Captain Hard Rock. I forgot her name. Anyway, it's sad because I love their mother. I just call her Captain Hard Rock. I can't stand when we would see her and Jagged go back and forth. And this is before we found out her and Jagged did have a previous relationship and had 2 kids together. One thing that frustrates me so much is that when we're introduced to her character, we see that she is being mean to Jagged and being rude to him and being nasty to him and this and that and the third. And Jagged is over here just acting like she's a crazy woman and whatever the fuck, and acting like he's no wrong in this and that and the third, where Jagged is clearly in the fucking wrong. And what irritates me so much about this entire situation between Jagged and his baby mama and his love children is that this show just keeps on making up excuses for him being not just a shitty father, but being a shitty person, because he's not a good person. We have seen this numerous times in this show that Jagged actually fucking sucks. Like, it makes me kind of upset because I do ship him and Penny together. Penny Rowland, literally one of the most prettiest characters in this show. I love her. Penny needs more screen time. Justice for Penny. It's just, oh god, it's so frustrating because he puts so much of his problems on towards this black woman and he just expects Penny to fix everything for him and this and that and the third. But hi, editing me here from the future. So this did not ring a bell when I said it, and now it did. Miraculous Ladybug, like I said, this video is about its diversity problem, not with just race and LGBTQ representation. It's just storytelling in general. But I didn't even realize that there was another race issue in the show, because Miraculous Ladybug and Euphoria suffer from this same issue, and that it's making black people like the accessories to non-black people. Because we saw that it happened with the cheerleading scene. We saw it happen with Bobby and Lexi. She was basically like there to help Lexi. It's happened numerous times, as McKay was kind of like, you know, Nate's little side piece, but you know, McKay's not really even in the show anymore. Miraculous Ladybug has a big problem when it comes to, you know, their black characters being accessories to the white characters. Because I had mentioned it before, how both the main characters have a token black friend and whatever the fuck. Like, we see that this happens so many times. And even when it comes to Max, at first it actually looked like Max was gonna be having like his own kind of storyline with his robot and all that shit, but then they just started to make him more of an accessory to Kim and Alex, I'd say, as well. But I never really noticed this much because the show focuses so much more with the kids that I didn't even realize that that was literally Penny's purpose in this show. Her purpose is literally just there to clean up Jagged Stone's shit. Like, and it gets frustrating to watch after a while because he's always fucking up. He's always fucking up this, fucking up that. And then Penny is just standing there very stressed out trying to take care of it. And to the point where she even got like akumatized because of that. Like, you guys get what I'm saying? That's like, I feel like the writing team doesn't seem to notice that so much of the stuff in the show can be very racially insensitive to a certain extent. But also that just kind of goes to, you know, them not being diversity, because I feel like if they had like a sensitivity team behind the show that was a group of people of color and just people of different kinds of backgrounds and whatnot, that they would have been the people to point out, hey, this could come off across as racially insensitive. And Penny and Jagged's relationship, it's, oh my god, it's actually a bit problematic. Okay, back to the video. I just cannot stand it, because also when it comes to, you know, him in the end where he like starts to bond with Luca and being his dad and all that, but then he's not really there for his daughter and whatever the fuck and whatnot. Like, this entire situation with Julika, Luca, they parents fighting and this and that and the third, so much of it just comes from the fact that it's so obvious that the people kind of don't know what they're doing when they are writing this scene. Because diversity doesn't really just have to do with, it does have to do with just race and sexuality and all of that jazz. It also just has to do with the different kinds of people that you're going to encounter, because there are people in this world that deal with shit like this. They have parents that fight with each other and they're divorced, or they never were together to begin with, and then that affects the children and this and that and the third. But it's so annoying because so much of the issues with him, they always try to blame it on his ex-girlfriend, which is Julika and Luca's mom, especially that entire episode where they were just fighting the whole time. It was just annoying. Crocodile, it's honestly one of my favorite episodes, but I'm glad that Julika stood up to him. But it just feels like Jagged's not really learning his lesson. He's still not that great of a person and whatnot. It's just very frustrating to see. And oh Jesus, Miraculous Ladybug, if they want to tackle more serious subjects like this within their series when it comes to, like, you know, the subject of not just child abuse, because I feel like they do a pretty decent job when it comes to that aspect, but when it comes to the subject of, you know, having, you know, children out of wedlock and baby daddies and baby moms, and, you know, want to hit on the subject of racism, and then, you know, actually doing stuff with their characters of color in the series and not having them just be sit on the sideline. They need to diversify their writers' room. That really is so much of this show's problem, because the setup is there, the execution is there. This show has executed plenty of things greatly. We know that they're capable of doing this. We know that they can do this, but also it reminds us that it's not there completely, because we keep talking about how we don't understand why so much of this show's writing is hit or miss, and it has to do with who is in that writer's room. I'm not trying to be mean, I'm not trying to be rude or anything like that, but this show's downfall truly is the fact that there's rarely any diversity outside of the voice acting circle, okay? Because there are voice actors of color that work on this show. They've been on the show since the beginning, and then we got Zeno Robinson in, and then some other people in later on as it went on. But that really cannot be the only aspect of the show that has diversity, because I did find out when they are doing the Africa special for Miraculous Ladybug. First of all, why the fuck is Gabriel Gress in Africa? What is your ass doing there? Are you there to colonize, Gabriel? What are you doing there? You have no business being in the motherland, okay? We saw that they do have 2 black people on the team for this show when it comes to the Africa special, and I feel like so much of that has to do with social media's influence within the series, which I'm not saying it's a bad thing that they're going to Africa, but it is very worrisome in my opinion, because I'm just scared that they're gonna portray Africa as like a poor country and this and that and the third. Like, you know, the way we see Africa on TV when they have those commercials about the children being in hunger and all of that. Like, I'm just terrified that they might do some shit like that, because I'm like, no, please, no. The Africa special honestly just has me head over here, especially the Brazil special too, because we did find out there were going to be black people in that one as well, which it needs to be. Black people live in South America. I need y'all to stop thinking black people don't exist universally, because they do. But also, we do not need to be giving them a round of applause for doing the bare minimum, because yeah, y'all got 2 black people to work on the Africa special. And how many white people are still in that writer's room? How many white people still working behind the scenes? It's a big, big difference. It's ratioed, okay? You going from like 2 to 50. Very, very concerning, Zag, okay? Very concerning for the most part. And it's just, it's just irritating, because I really did enjoy Quillin. I really liked that episode. I thought it was great. It was executed pretty well. It looked like shit because that animation was just not it. I know people worked hard on it, but the show just didn't look finished, okay? It was actually deeply concerning how poorly animated it was. But the episode would have worked so much better if this show didn't have a big problem with race to begin with, because it's not just a problem with race with its Asian characters. They have a problem with race with their black characters just as well, and that's not really surprising to me about the black character thing, because anti-blackness is very universal, and then also anti-Asian sentiment is very universal as well, because we have seen lots and lots of anti-Asian sentiment within children's media, and it does need to be called out, because these little stereotypes that y'all always have, they're not acceptable, and they're actually very, very deeply concerning, because you think it's okay to make jokes and shit about that. Like, you're not allowed to do things like this if you already have a big race problem with your show to begin with. Like, it just felt like kind of like a slap in the face. I'm not gonna sit here and applaud them for actually doing something right for once when it came to the subject of racism. Like, yes, you taught the audience what racism is, but also you're still teaching the audience what racism is in an unhealthy way, because oftentimes before you will have little racist shit thrown in the series and you think it's okay and you don't see that it's a problem. That's where the issue falls. But that's pretty much all I gotta say for this video. It was just a nice little ranty rant where I just wanted to get this off my chest. And you guys want to know ways to support me? I have a GoFundMe link right now going for my web show, The Progenies. Please donate and support and share that post because we desperately need it. I have Patreon, I also have Buy Me a Coffee, I also have Ko-fi links down below. I also have merch at harriyannahook.com. That is the name of my website. It's the same as my channel. Just type that in and then you're there. Make sure you join the mailing list. What else do I got to say? Just follow me on everything at Harriyanna, HARRIYANNA. Thank you guys so much for watching and have a good night.